Okay, guys, today we will talk about reflexive verbs, which is basically what the vocabulary was about yesterday. There are some examples I'm going to address, and I'm going to stick to the reflexive part. A verb is reflexive when the subject and the object are the same. I wash myself. Subject I, verb wash, object myself. So you can see there that is a true reflexive um, action. And then the example that follows is not truly really a reflexive, however, is a verb, but really I'm not going to cover it as well too much. Here's another example of how a verb can be either reflexive or non-reflexive. But of course, we're going to focus more on the reflexive. So I scratch myself. Subject I, verb scratch, object myself. They give an example of a non-reflexive verb, some action that you do for somebody else is not really a reflexive to yourself. So we're going to bypass that one. But what is good to point out is the following. When a verb is reflexive, the infinitive ends in se. And I can illustrate that. Lavar means to wash. It's not a reflexive verb. Lavarse means to wash oneself. It's a reflexive because it ends in se. Rascar means to scratch, non-reflexive. Rascarse means to scratch oneself. Becomes a reflexive because of the se at the end. You have to keep in mind that these verbs also end in AR. And we have already talked about AR ending verbs before. There's another reflexive verb that you have been using since you began studying Spanish, and it's the verb llamarse, to call oneself. An example is, ¿Cómo se llama usted? What do you call yourself? You will say, Me llamo Juan. I call myself Juan. Obviously, we don't say that in English, but if you look at this example, it's truly a reflexive verb because it is llamarse. Okay. There's a note over here. The question is really, what is your name? My name is Juan. When you learn to conjugate regular verbs, you needed to learn a set of pronouns called subject pronouns, which we have learned in Spanish 1. So you got all your endings. Reflexive verbs need to be conjugated in the present tense. So, yo lavo, tú lavas, él, ella, usted lava, nosotros lavamos, vosotros, is used in Spain, ellos, ellas, y ustedes lavan. So, that's just a conjugation of a verb. To learn to conjugate reflexive verbs, you need to learn different set of pronouns called reflexive pronouns, which is what we studied in Quizlet. These pronouns are positioned before the verb, while the ending is se is dropped and the verb is conjugated normally. So let's look at some examples. We have lavarse. Yo me lavo. You drop the se and then you change it into lavo. I wash myself. Tú te lavas. Same example. You drop the se and then you put a regular ending. Él se lava. Ella se lava. Usted se lava. Nosotros nos lavamos. Nosotras nos lavamos. Ustedes se lavan. Ellos se lavan. Ellas se lavan. Again, you drop in the se in all of this conjugation. Now, the reflexive pronouns are not subject pronouns. Rather, they are subject pronouns. But basically, really what this really says, these are reflexive pronouns. Why? Because me is myself, te, yourself, se, himself, herself, yourself, nos, ourselves, se, themselves, yourselves. And then os is say for España. The purpose of the reflexive object pronoun is to show that the action of the verb remains with the subject. So examples, Juan se lava la cara. It is a reflexive verb. And then Juan lava su carro is not by any means reflexive, it's a non-reflexive. Okay? Um, our friends, the Among Us friends, told us that when we're referring body parts, we use definite articles like la cara, not su cara. So keep that in mind. And then over here, I can show you examples of what's non-reflexive and what is reflexive. So wash your face is reflexive. Wash the dog is not reflexive. Raise the book, non-reflexive. Raise yourself is reflexive. Put the baby to bed, non-reflexive. Go to bed, reflexive. Wake up your son, non-reflexive. Wake up yourself, reflexive. And then so on. Flashcards that are useful to learn. There's a list over here. Again, here are your conjugations. You drop the se and then you put the regular conjugation in the present tense. Okay, students, these are um, notes that will be very, very useful. So I read them for you, but you're welcome to read them yourself. When you finish reading them all, you're going to try the basic quiz and then the mini test. I'm not gonna go ahead and open it because I think if I open it, the video will not show what is supposed to open. Sometimes in Screencastify, it doesn't really show, but I can show it to you in class during the Zoom meeting live. Okay, students, I hope this helps. These are your notes. Please keep them. This may help you for any test that you will be taking, maybe perhaps the semester exam. Thank you very much for your patience.